Hello, welcome back to my channel. If there's one thing to know about me, it's that I'm bad at my job, and by that I mean I did not film an intro to this video. Here I am filming the intro to this video. I'm going to be reading 3 hockey romances, and the vlog gets increasingly unhinged the farther that we go. I'm going to be reading a Candy Steiner book that I was super hyped for. I'm going to be reading a Stephanie Archer book that had really high ratings on the romance bestseller list on Amazon. I think it was like number 2 or 3 when I checked, and I was like, ooh, perfect, sign me up. Hockey romance, and it's popular, let's do it. And then the last book was one that I searched and sought out myself, and it is Secret Obsession by S. Massery. I'm sure you can guess how that went. No preamble, you don't need to know what these books are about. They're hockey romances, and I'm gonna tell you about them. All right, so I've started my first book. I'm 20% into. I swear to God, I'm gonna remember the name of this book one day. That day is not today, but perhaps one day. Meet Your Match by Candy Steiner. I like how I can't remember the name of a book that I was like hotly anticipating and very excited about. So this book is not what I was expecting at all. I actually didn't want to know anything about this book going into it because I just think it's more fun that way. You know, I just think it's fun to not know what a book's about, especially if it's by an author that I enjoy, because I'm gonna read the book anyway, right? This book is about our 2 main characters, Maven and Vince. That's his name. I remember the name of the characters. Look at me go. So at the beginning of this book, we have a gala of sorts. Our heroine is taken by her friend who is the team dentist of a professional hockey team in Tampa Bay. She's taken to this gala with her friend, and she ends up coming in contact with this like hotshot hockey player who she wants nothing to do with because she's had bad luck with professional sports players in the past. Her boyfriend in college was like a very rich guy. He was a golfer. He was going to be really famous and rich one day, and I guess things ended poorly, and she just didn't like the way his like family treated her, I guess, because she wasn't as wealthy as him and his family. So she has no tolerance for Vince, who is just a pretty little rich boy in her eyes, even though he's attracted to her. He isn't like super clear about that early on, but like pretty quickly after that we find out that he likes her. They end up meeting again and like coming into contact again because our heroine works for a social media company in Tampa Bay, and basically they have pitched this idea to this hockey team that they want to follow around Vince for a month. It'll get them really good sports publicity and maybe bring in some like male viewers or like whatever. I don't know. They have like multiple different social media channels, so I'm not really sure what their primary like target is, but more viewers, more engagement, whatever. And they think, you know, men like sports and maybe they'll like this. And also women like hot sports players. So our heroine is supposed to spend like all day, every day for an entire month with this man, post on social media about it and take pictures, videos, etc. And Vince, because he's attracted to her, is kind of giving her a hard time during this whole situation. She can't take him seriously because he's a poor little rich boy, and he is just attracted to her and hits on her, and is also frustrated because she's kind of a bitch. Was not expecting this book. I was really expecting this to just be like, from what I've heard, a smutty little story set in college, hockey romance, just like your typical thing. It is not that. I'm not saying I haven't read any like professional hockey player romances, but it's been a while. I've mostly just read like college ones, and those tend to be ones that I gravitate towards. Little dude, eating charger cords is really not good for you. Okay? Oh, is that a burp? Nothing like picking up a kitten after they eat. All kinds of fun noises. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't expecting this book because I really wasn't anticipating a professional sports romance. I wasn't anticipating the dynamic between the characters either. I'd heard from a couple of my friends on Patreon, because this is our monthly book club pick this month, and we're kind of talking about the book in a Discord channel. I had heard that our heroine Maven is a little bit irritating and a little bit judgmental, and I have to agree, though at this 20% mark, she gets called out by Vince. And I kind of expected this to happen, or did I? I expected her to like change her mind about him as a person. I didn't necessarily expect him to call her a bitch flat out. And to be honest, it was deserved, and it was kind of hot. I don't know, it shouldn't be hot for a guy to call a girl a bitch, but it was just hot in the scene. I don't know, it's like not what I'm expecting, but it's also like very much what I needed. Really want to read something smutty. Are you, hi? Oh, okay. Okay, I see what's going on. It's my hair that he's interested in. He said, I like long hair. Anyway, I'm excited to see where this book goes and to see how the relationship dynamics sort of unfold between these 2 characters. I am expecting a really like fun, hot romance, especially because of a couple of hints that we've gotten throughout the story and just like from what my friends have told me, but this feels sexual. In the time that he calls her a bitch, or like in that moment, he like kind of grabs her chin in like a sexual way. He's also said that he wants to spank her. Is it gonna be kinky? I don't know. I don't know, but I'm ready to find out. All right, friends, chat with me while I do my makeup. Let's talk about this book. I feel like I gave you an update yesterday, but I conveniently forgot all of the like kind of important things I was feeling, and so now I'm here to correct those wrongs. Right those wrongs? I don't know. Now like 50-ish% into Meet Your Match by Candy Steiner, and I'm enjoying it, but I'm trying to overlook some certain things that are kind of like not my favorite. Some things that are kind of just not the vibe. One thing that I noticed early on and that like I just yet again forgot to say was that I think the like setup for this book is not only convenient but also like kind of unrealistic. Like obviously this idea of having a heroine spend a month with a guy is a little bit wild to begin with. Like that's a little bit wild even for like a social media assignment, like viral video type thing. It's a little bit out of left field, I think. It's something that might not happen in real life. And then on top of that, okay, I don't know why this is nitpicky. This is maybe something that like won't bother other people, but I was a little bit like, what the fuck? About the fact that she is offered this assignment, she takes it immediately, she has to live in an apartment within the guy's like same apartment complex for that month, and she's like, okay, but what about my stuff? What about my plants? Like, and her employers are like, oh, don't worry, we have a key to your place and we're gonna have someone like come and you know, water your plants and stuff, so no need to worry. I'm like, at what point did she grab her clothes? At what point did she like make plans? I don't know, it just seems like very random and super unrealistic, and it also feels like this was the only justification. Like her job is only her job so that she can be around this man. I feel like we could have had like a different setup. Like she could have had a completely different job and a completely different reason to spend time with this guy and not have to spend 24/7 with him. I don't know. I know that's really nitpicky, but that was like kind of one of the first things that I thought about. I was like, I don't know about this, but it kind of just like left my head because I was so overwhelmed with the sexiness, you know, of the scene I had just read. So that's something that like instantly came to mind. Also, there's a scene where our heroine decides to hang out with some of her friends who happen to be displaced or unhoused people, and very cool that, you know, she's got some friends with different life circumstances than her, but it just felt really unrealistic the way that she takes the hero with her and they're all like, oh yeah, we know this guy, he comes hang out with us all the time. I'm not saying he's not a good guy, I'm not saying that people don't do that, but like a famous hockey player doing that, I don't know, it seems like we're going to lengths to make him seem like a really good guy and to kind of like assuage our heroine's fears about him that like all rich men suck. And I don't think we needed to go like that far in the opposite direction. Maybe I'm just cynical, but it just feels like a little bit much at times. And then, you know, I do have to kind of agree with some of the comments that I've seen about the heroine being irritating. I was really thinking that like her character would change over the course of the book and that like, no, maybe she, after like a couple of examples of the hero being a good guy, she would just like chill a little bit. And I gotta say, that's not really happened. And then my last complaint. Why is this just me complaining? My last complaint is that I don't like the way that conflict of this book is set up. And here's the thing, I don't know exactly what the conflict of this book is going to be like, you know, at that 70% mark, you know, whatever. Third act conflict, third act breakup kind of thing. I don't know what that's going to be, but one of the conflicts of the book and one of the reasons why our heroine is not pursuing our hero or letting him pursue her is because she had an ex, again, who was a really rich guy and kind of bad guy or whatever. I just don't like that conflict because I feel like it's not very well developed or well fleshed out. I don't know, I just feel like her character is inconsistent. On the one hand, like she grew up a little bit poorer and her parents really emphasized this idea of like using your gifts for charity and like using your gifts for good. If she was dating a guy who was the opposite of that, I totally get it, but our hero is showing you that he's actually a nice guy, so why are you acting like this? I think I kind of lost track of what I was trying to say, but I think what I'm trying to say also is that she gets a call from her ex and he's like, watch out for this guy, because like a picture went viral of her and Vince like hanging out or something like that, like in a hot tub, and so it looked a little scandy. Her ex calls her and is like, hey, watch out, he's like, you know, I just don't want to see you get hurt or some shit. And I'm like, you obviously don't care. Also, like, you are very irrelevant to the situation. It's not like they just broke up, so like, why is he even in the picture? Okay, we have a friend who wanted to come say hi. I don't hate this book, I really don't. I feel like I just spent a long time complaining, but I wanted to get all of these thoughts and feelings out just because I feel like I needed to. I just needed to, okay? I believe that this book is not bad. I like the sexiness factor of it, and I am curious to see if our heroine does improve character-wise, like I hate her less as the book continues. I think I'm just caught up in things because like not a whole lot has happened yet. Like we're not getting the sexiness. You done making whale sounds over there?
I've been done.
Hello, my friends. I finished Meet Your Match. I just want to present a word to you. Asshole. This is a word that is employed often in this book, and it's a word that Hayden and I discussed. I don't want to say in depth, but I brought this to his attention as something that, like, I don't particularly like in a romance. Why does the hole have to be tacked on? I know that that's technically what it is. I don't want to hear about it in a romance, like a few fingers in someone's. That was a pretty glaring issue for me, but let's bring it back a little bit. Let's bring it back. Did Maven's character get less irritating? I guess we could say yes. Did I think that that redeemed the book? Unfortunately, no. I think my issue with the story is that the beginning really does focus on the, I would say, romantic connection between these two characters. We are trying to understand why they would want to be together. We've got the hero doing things to kind of prove his worth to the heroine, but once they jump into bed together, kind of all of that just goes by the wayside. Sure, there's a moment where he's like, oh, look at my pottery that I made for you and you can put your plants in my pots. I guess that's nice, but I didn't feel that they were like a puzzle piece sort of match. Like, how is this relationship going to work long term? Why do y'all actually want to be together besides, I guess, a mutual love for buttholes? It just didn't really inspire a lot of confidence in the long-term romance, and I think that was exacerbated particularly for me because there were so many moments where there's like empty words, in my opinion, and I did highlight something that I was just like, come on. Can never find the highlights because I don't highlight things. Okay. He says, everything before you was black and white, a monochromatic existence. And she says, and now? He says, now it's a kaleidoscope of color, dizzying and maddening and beautiful. And there's a lot of moments of him speaking like that, or her speaking like that about her love for him, and there's like these admissions or whatever. And I mean, I guess like you could consider that the relationship development, the character development, whatever, but to me, I also am gonna need to see actions with that, and I didn't feel like there were enough actions or like, yeah, moments of like conversation between these two to necessitate that kind of shit. It's hard because I feel like the sex scenes in this book were fun. I think they definitely went there. I think often I hear from people who don't read romance, especially like naysayers of the genre, that romance is just corn for women. This book felt like that. So if that's something that you're looking for, you will find it here. I'm not like yucking anyone's yum. That's not what I'm looking for in a romance. I'm looking for connection. I'm looking for the sex scenes to build connection between the characters. And again, you can have like some novelty things in there too. I'm not saying that's bad. I think in this book, there was more time spent on that, and the way that this book is advertised as well is spent on that. And I'm not saying that's bad. It's just not necessarily like what I'm looking for. Y'all know what I'm looking for, which is like romance and connection and like angst and mutual pining and, you know, good sex scenes, but like, no, I like how I said that I was looking for sex scenes, and now I'm like, I don't know, but I feel like that's kind of par for the course for me, frankly. So anyway, back to the whole discussion. That's another thing that I just can't get on board, frankly, and I just think it should be stricken from the romance author sex word thesaurus. Can we just please get that word out of there? Eliminate the whole portion of it, and I think we'd all be happier and better for it. That's pretty much all I have to say about this book. I think I've belabored the point too much. I do like the hero. He was a fun guy, and I might be interested in reading more books in the series in the future, but I will say I think this kind of pales in comparison to the previous series by this author, which I think had a lot of fun sex scenes but also a lot of emphasis on that romantic relationship development. Rest my case, I'm gonna start in on another book. Which one, I don't know, but I will obviously let you know when that happens. Alright, my friends, I have selected another book to read, as if it's not on the thumbnail of this video. Also, I don't know what's going on here. I picked up a book called Behind the Net by Stephanie Archer. I picked this one up a second because I thought, you know, tonally it looked a little different with the illustrated cover, and I thought this one would maybe be a little tamer than, is it Secret Obsession by S. Mastery? That one's gonna be dark. I can already tell you that much right now. So I decided to pick this one up, and so far so good. I'm 50% in, and this book is about our two main characters, Pippa and Jamie. Also, if you can hear any wet food noises in the background, that would be Sebastian, who decided that he needed to eat right now, right when I started filming. So Pippa is out of a long-term relationship. She just got fired from the tour that her boyfriend is on, and also dumped by the same guy. So she's kind of like going through it, not having a great time, and she's looking for some temporary work, and she decides she's going to be the assistant to a hockey player. She ends up getting this job like through her sister or something. I think her sister works for the hockey team, her sister's the yoga instructor, whatever. That really doesn't matter that much, but Pippa is working for Jamie, and Jamie knew her from high school, but he's pretending like he didn't know her because she did acknowledge that they went to high school together. So that's like an aspect of the book, but she is walking his dog, and I don't mean that in like a sexual innuendo sort of way. I mean like she is actually walking his dog dog. That's like part of her responsibilities. And she, after a while, ends up living with him for reasons that I think were kind of poorly explained, but essentially she like needed a place to live so she wouldn't be crashing with her sister. So she is in close proximity to this guy who's kind of grumpy, but is overall a good guy. Like, he is playing hockey for Vancouver. He's a professional hockey player because his mom is in town. So he took a pay cut to live in Vancouver so he could be around his mom, who has mental health issues after the death of his dad many years ago. I like the idea of the story. Oh, also I should probably say that Pippa is like into music, I guess. Like, her boyfriend was on tour, she helped him write music. They said that she didn't have enough talent to like go out on her own, so she is like not very confident in her musical abilities, whatever, but she's very talented. I like the idea of this book. I think the execution is slightly lacking for me, not in like any major ways, but I think for me this book has so much potential that it's frustrating to see where it's falling short. And I think for me the issue is that the characters have really good traits on paper. Pippa is a character who seems like she could go through a lot of growth, right? From being this, you know, less confident individual to someone who is confident and is going after her dreams. You could have the hero realizing that he can't control everything in his life, watching out for his mom, but also letting her kind of live her own life and make her own decisions since she's a grown adult woman. Like, I think there are opportunities, certainly, for this book to be good. There's just kind of a flatness surrounding the characters that I don't love, and I think it comes down to character dialogue. I think there are some fun things that happen, like there's a scene where the hero ends up sending the heroine a sex toy and he kind of forgot that he did that, and he's like trying to beat her home so he can make sure that he gets it before she does, and she gets it. And anyway, it's like a whole thing, and it could be fun. It could be like a banter moment, but I feel like the banter is really lacking here, and I don't need it to be like the wittiest thing ever, but until this author wants it to be like a heartfelt rom-com, and I don't think the dialogue is really like punchy enough for me. I think I need something to really be impactful. I shouldn't compare everything to like Elsie Silver because she's just incredible, okay? But when it comes to an author like Elsie Silver, right, her setups are not anything that are absolutely wild, but the way that she writes her stories, you feel really strongly about the characters. You feel like these are emotions that you've had before, even if you haven't been in the circumstances that the characters have been in. And I think in this book, you are told what these characters are about, but I'm not really seeing that reflected. Like, at the beginning of this book, I was excited because the hero was grumpy and he is like so into the heroine that he like can't even talk to her, and I was very into that idea, but that fizzles away very quickly, and there's not really a transition from him like not talking to her to talking to her all the time. There's just something missing here. I feel like I might not be doing the best job articulating it, but there are some things that I like, there are some things that I think are lacking, and it's not the plot line. I'm not like mad at the plot line, I'm not mad at who the characters are. I just wish that the character interactions were maybe like more exciting. I think that's it. 50% in, I'm not having a bad time. The characters just had like a sexual moment together, but then they were interrupted by a phone call, or missed phone calls, I guess, from the hero's mom. So she's definitely a conflict in the book, and yeah, I'm just excited to see where things go. I'm hoping that these characters kind of grow enough to like let me overlook some of the flatness. All right, I hope y'all are prepared and ready for some beautiful ASMR. My cats are eating their dry food this morning. It is much more pleasant, in my opinion, to listen to than wet food, so hope you don't mind. I'm gonna do my makeup. We're gonna have a chat about the books that I'm reading. First of all, I think I'm gonna begin by straightening out this camera just a little bit. Okay, perfect. I finished Behind the Net last night, and it just wasn't for me. I'm gonna be honest. I was really excited about this one because the beginning of the book was, you know, like fun for me. I liked this setup of this hero who's like been pining for the heroine for a while. I like that he didn't even feel like he could be in the same room with her. His emotions were so big and he didn't want to like embarrass himself almost. I eat that shit up. So I was very much excited for the book. I thought that this was going to be exactly what I wanted it to be. Also, unrelated kind of, but I like sharing things with you. I am trying like 6 different facial sunscreens at the moment. Today I am using the Tree Hyaluronic Acid Watery Sun Gel SPF 50 PA Quadruple Plus. And I like this one okay, though it does make my makeup look a little glowier than I would like, though it does not feel greasy. So I like that. I feel like I had a similar issue with this one that I did with the last one that I finished, in that the romantic relationship development kind of stops once the sex happens, and there is so much sex in this book. Here's the thing, if you like a lot of smutty scenes, maybe this will be for you. I don't think there's anything wrong with having smutty scenes in a book. I like smut. Like, I've always liked smut. I will always like smut. Like, I have been clowning on myself or like joking a little bit about how books are just getting too smutty these days, or like I don't like smut anymore because I'm an old woman. I think that books are again, I just think generally books are putting relationship development in the back seat to more smutty scenes, and that could not be more evident than in this book. This book was like 400 pages, which I think was about 100 pages too long to tell this story. I think about 50 pages of smut could have been cut and the story would have been exactly the same. And I also just feel like, again, the flatness of the characters, the flatness of the relationship just continued and carried on. Hi. Oh, are you purring? Did you love your breakfast? You're a little dirty, but you could say hi. Sebastian says hi. Yeah? You smell like crunchies. Okay. I just sincerely wanted to care about these characters, and sadly that just like didn't really happen. At the end of the book too, like the heroine has this triumphant moment where she's finally going after her dreams and stuff, but I didn't care, and I feel like that says a lot. I think it's because, you know, you mentioned a couple of times that she has this dream, and you show me a couple of times her playing music and like getting over her, I guess, fear of performing, but I don't feel like we get a lot of internal dialogue from either of the characters. That's another thing. Like, the characterization was pretty flat. I don't feel like they had much personality, but I also feel like, you know, beyond that, beyond the lack of like interesting dialogue, we also just have characters who don't even tell us who they are internally. And I used to bitch a lot about too much internal dialogue in stories, and I do think it can be kind of frustrating if the hero and heroine like never interact and you're getting too much internal dialogue. But the reason that you care about the characters in like a Mariana Zapata is because, you know, the heroine is constantly talking to you, you know, as a reader, constantly telling you who she is, her insecurities. You feel for her so much more. You feel for those heroines so much more than you do in a lot of books, and I do respect that. It might be, her books might be wordy, but like at least she kind of goes there. So yeah, I feel like I'm just like dunking on this book, and I don't mean to. It had so much hope and so much promise that like I can't help but express my disappointment. So this, I think, for me is going to be a 2-star read. It was not the worst thing I've ever read, but it definitely just didn't hit the spot like I thought that it would. Most of the time that I was reading it too, or at least until the halfway point, I was thinking, oh, this is a 3-star. It's a 3-star in a different way than the Candy Steiner, but like it's definitely a 3-star. But then it kept going and I was like, God, please make it end. So 2 stars. Not a terrible book by any means. Like, I think if you picked this up and you weren't looking for anything particularly special, you were just looking for a hockey romance, this is a hockey romance. So maybe it'll hit the spot for you. It just didn't hit the spot for me. Let's talk about Secret Obsession. I need Jesus. I need, I don't know, an exorcism. I knew this book was going to be perhaps a touch problematic or a touch much, even for me. It certainly is that. This book is about our 2 main characters. Can't remember their names. Oh, Miles and I don't remember the heroine's name. It's not relevant. Who cares? Who cares about her? Because she's not the problem here. Okay, so this book opens up and we've got our hero at a bar with his brother and the rest of the hockey team. He's a hockey player, of course, because it's a hockey romance. So he's at this bar and his brother, I guess, placed a bet with some of their friends that he could convince this girl she was in love with him. And whoever, I guess, like, of their friend group got a girl to admit their love first wins or some shit like that. I don't know. So his brother Knox, Miles is the main character, Knox, gets an admission of love from this gal, and then he immediately dumps her at the bar and like loudly professes that this was a bet and he was only dating her as a bet. It's kind of giving After by Anna Todd energy, right? On the surface, not great. You're kind of excited though. You're kind of curious to see where things are going to go because we're getting this story from Miles's point of view, and you can tell that he's always had a thing for this chick. Not in necessarily a healthy way, but he's always kind of had a thing for her, and like that's sweet, you know, kind of romantic, whatever. But no, it's not. It's not any of those things. It's not romantic. It's not sweet. It's none of it. He basically thinks that our heroine, I guess, was supposed to know this entire time that he was into her. After this like one chance interaction that they had after like a hockey game or something. She's like on the dance team for the hockey team. After she gets dumped by his brother, he decides he's going to make her life a living hell. So he follows her to a bar where she is like not out for revenge, but she's, you know, been dumped by this guy and she's like, okay, I'm gonna go get drunk. I'm going to get basically free drinks without sleeping with any of these guys. And like, good for her, you know, respect. She gets like groped by a creeper and saved, I guess, by Miles, but it's not like a sweet saving necessarily. He takes her home and he puts her into bed, and then shit really hits the fan. And you know what? Unfortunately, I am going to have to talk about spoilers with this one because it's just, I just have to. So I'm gonna put a spoiler warning if you don't want to hear this. So sorry, but like, this is hilarious and also unhinged. So anyway, the guy that was groping our heroine follows her to her apartment, I guess, and is trying to like get in her pants. I mean, like, he never gets that far because Miles is like at her apartment because Miles brought her home from the bar because I don't know if she actually got drugged or if she just got too drunk, whatever. He convinces her that she was drugged, so who knows what the truth is there. But she wakes up and there is a man who's been stabbed in her apartment. He's not dead yet. but he will be soon. So our hero offers the heroine the choice of like, do you want this man to die slowly or quickly? She says slowly, so he bleeds out on her floor. And then she's kind of like, okay, what am I supposed to do with this? You killed a man for me, but that's unhinged, and like, why would I want to be with you? But she doesn't have much of a choice, because guess what? Our hero puts a tracker on her phone, like kind of watches her every move, and he also puts the dead body into a freezer so that he can use it as leverage to get the heroine to do whatever he wants. So this book is absolutely unhinged. I knew it would be, and I'm not actually mad at it. You would think that I would be upset. But you know what? I like that S. Mastery, she lets you know what her books are going to be. She says, hey, I'm not here to give you something polite. I'm gonna give you something absolutely wild. And you know what? She delivers every time. I read the first book in the series for a different video. I can't remember which one it was. Oh, letting Instagram pick my TBR or something like that. And I was not disappointed with that first book. It was so wildly dumb, but so fun. I think I gave that one like 4 stars, which in hindsight, like that's stupid of me. That is genuinely stupid of me to do, but I had fun with it. And here's the thing, if you're going to do the whole dark romance shtick, if you're going to like be a little bit out there, go all the way. And S. Mastery just goes all the way. So in conclusion, this is insane. I'm only 20% in and I have no idea where things are going. And I kind of like that. I kind of like that I don't know where things are going and how I'm going to care about this romance. But here's the thing, with a book like this, am I really going to care about the romance? No, I just want to see what unhinged stuff this man is going to do. I want to see what these smutty scenes are going to be. This isn't a love match. You know, it's never going to be a love match. A man, you know, putting a tracker on your phone. I almost forgot. There's other couples mentioned, and I think maybe they have their own books or something like that too. Essentially, one of the heroines has a tracker under her skin. Her boyfriend put a tracker under her skin. She doesn't know this. I guess he doesn't intend on telling her. I hope we don't get to that level in this book, but I think we're already there since he murdered someone and is blackmailing her about it. So, you know, live, laugh, love. This is definitely a kind of hockey romance, you know? I think it's a perfect intersection of wildly unhinged and also sports. So you were really craving that. You will get it in this here book. So I'm not mad. I am disturbed. So this has been real. This has been fun. I'm gonna finish my makeup. Get on with my day, y'all. Today is Nutso City. I have to finish Actor A.G. Brown. I have to finish this book. I have to finish this vlog. I have to finish another vlog. I have to finish a DBBC. I need to make 3 thumbnails. I need to pack for Disney. So all of this before 1 p.m. and it is, I think, now 11. None of that's gonna happen. Okay, realistically, but I'll be back. All right, y'all, it is like midnight and I'm 50% into this book and I just had to update you because I have not read a book like this in a long time and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. You can be the judge. It's a bad thing. You know what? I'm not even gonna let you judge. It is a bad thing. This book is so wildly problematic, but I can't look away. I can't stop reading. If you are at all sensitive to consent issues in books, do not pick this book up under any circumstances because oftentimes authors writing a dark romance will kind of get you to decide for yourself whether or not there's a consent issue in a book. You know, they want to make it a question. Dubious consent is what we call it. This book is not dubious. Our heroine does not consent to the things that the hero does to her. She, in her internal dialogue, when they're not having sex, says that she is attracted to this guy and that she is constantly thinking about his member, shall we say. During the actual encounters, she's not into it. She specifically says, I do not want this. She says it verbally, she says it in her internal dialogue. How the fuck else are you supposed to interpret that except for she does not want it? I'm just astounded, really, that this is something that repeatedly happens. And it's weird to me too, because every other part of this book is like wild, but in a fun way. Because every other part of this book, I don't want to say it's like without problem, but like is actually kind of interesting and feels like a thriller. Like I want to continue to read, but that is just really turning me off. And I don't really get it because the hero has been into this heroine for a while. Even if he's mad at her for like sleeping with his brother or like being with his brother, why would he treat her like this? Like, wouldn't he be interested in like getting her off and like having her have a good time? Maybe I just like don't understand the point. I just like don't understand why this is the tact that we're taking. Yeah, I'm like honestly astounded. I'm trying to think of other things that have happened besides those glaring issues. The hero is completely in control of the heroine's life. Obviously, he's trying to like blackmail her. I'm not gonna like try to bring up spoilers again, but he is trying to blackmail her, kind of. Though that rarely comes up. He basically is just trying to control her life and get her reliant on him, which is, you know, scary and like definitely not something you want to happen in real life. But in this book, if you just think of it as a thriller, it's like kind of interesting to see what tactics he employs and to see what he's gonna do next. So it's like I'm intrigued and I want to keep reading, but also this is like so horrible. I don't know. I'm just like, I'm at a loss, to be honest. I like don't know what to think about this book. Like I'm gonna finish it because I'm like intrigued, but it's also like just horrible. It's not a romance. It's like not a romance. It's a thriller. It's well written, kind of. I don't know. The plotline of this one compared to the first one, I think is a little bit more all over the place, though I do remember that one having a wild ending as well. I'm sure this is going to be nuts, and that's why I want to stick around. God, it's like she's got me by the throat, you know, she's like kind of like the hero in the story. Oh, also, like at one point they're in a car together, the hero and the heroine, he's like taking her home from something and she like gives him attitude, and so he literally makes her pass out, cuts off her blood supply, you know what I mean, like chokes her, and she passes out in the car. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. I was telling my sister about this book and she was like, I have to read that. She's really into thrillers. It's frustrating because it's like intriguing, but like just don't do it to yourself. Don't do it. I'm gonna finish it tonight though, or maybe tomorrow, we'll see. But I'll be back bright and early, let you know my final thoughts and feelings, and then I'm gonna upload this little vloggy vlog for you to enjoy. Is this enjoyable? Like, I feel like I've just bitched this entire time. I've had fun with it. I have had fun bitching. I'll let you know that much. All right, so I finished it. It's the next morning, if that wasn't clear. I'm so torn on this book because on the one hand, I think it got better. On the other hand, it's not a good romance. Like, it's a fun book, but it's not a good romance. One thing I thought that was interesting was that the hero and like all of his actions were to try to get the heroine to like kind of fight back. He thought that she was just kind of like walking through her life in a haze after what his brother did to his girlfriend, or I guess person who he's torturing. I mean, it is his girlfriend, I guess, technically, but she like barely agrees to that. Anyway, he's like trying to kind of snap her out of it, and you find that out at about the 50% mark, after he like leaves her in a walk-in freezer after waterboarding her. I was gonna try to like there's no justification for any of this shit that happens in this book. There's just simply not. I understand, I guess, to an extent, what the author was trying to do, and I think as like a dark romance, this one's interesting. Is it healthy? No. But are any dark romances truly healthy? You know, that's up for your interpretation for sure. It was interesting. Also, the ending of this book I feel like was fitting given the way that this book started. With the first book in the series, I feel like, okay, it did also have kind of an unhinged beginning, but this one was even more unhinged, and then the ending less unhinged, I guess, by comparison. Like, it just fit with the story, and so I was not mad at how the book ended. I kind of wish maybe that like the hero would have apologized more for his actions, or like there had been more of a switch between him being like really awful and then being only a little bit awful and like mostly a decent boyfriend. I don't know. Maybe that's asking a lot, because something I noticed that this author does is say something to the effect of like, oh, he's mine now. He's still a little dark and twisted, but like he's mine. So like maybe that's just what she's going for, and she doesn't want the heroes to apologize. But I'm just like, I don't know. I don't even know what to say about this book, y'all. It's like truly one of the most unhinged things that I've read, and not in the sense that like I haven't read thrillers or anything, but just because like someone chose to make this a romance. All's well that ends. I was gonna say well, but no. All's well that ends. We are finished with this video, with this unhinged hockey romance video. I feel like this has been quite the time. I was fully expecting to have like at least 1 5-star, and that just didn't happen. This book, what would I rate it? No fucking idea. Like maybe 2 stars. I really have no idea. I still had a fun time with this. Like, I love KU. I love getting to read popular romances that are coming out and just let you know how I feel about them. I just think it's fun, because here's the thing, I don't go into a book expecting that it's going to be incredible. You shouldn't click on a video expecting that the person that's going to be reading the books is going to love every one of them. It is what it is. I'm not mad. You shouldn't be mad. I feel like I always have to give this disclaimer when I don't like any of the books in a video, but you know, disclaimer, I didn't like the books, or I didn't love any book. Thanks so much for watching this video though. There is another video coming in a couple days for you. I love y'all so much. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time.